What's up, everyone? So happy to see you all in person. My man in the back with the camera, I'm good to go if you're good to go. We're going to start off talking all about branding, but before we do so, I have a warning for everyone here that today's workshop will probably make you smarter than 4 out of the 5 marketing gurus that you will see online, those self-proclaimed experts who might just be snake oil salesmen. You're just going to get just the facts from us, from all of our experiences, John had said. So I am Stephen Bicanza. I'm a brand consultant. I'm an educator. I'm an adjunct at Drexel University, as well as the European Institute of Design in Milano, Italy, where I teach once a year. There's my LinkedIn. There's my Twitter. I expect a ton of new connections, hopefully afterwards. And I am also privileged to be one of the first graduating classes in Marty Neumeyer's Brand Architect program. It's he's a world-renowned brander that's worked with Apple and Steve Jobs and everyone. And so always a student, even though I am also sometimes a teacher. Oh, there we go. I also have a newsletter that goes out once a week entitled All About Branding. And so there's a QR code there. If anyone wants to scan it, I will bring it back up afterwards. But every week I'm just dissecting a branding topic, or I'm talking about Super Bowl ads, or I'm talking about why this brand made a big faux pas on social media and why that actually might be a good thing for your brand. So part humor, part great content, all me. So my goal today, everyone, is number one is I'm going to show you actual steps that you can implement today, not some kind of theoretical crap that's going to take you years to understand. I'm going to give you just the facts with now, over 15 years experience in building brands, working with agencies, working with startups, working with nonprofits, really helping brands to outmaneuver their competition. And I am not here to bore you with buzzwords. I will let my colleagues do that in their presentations. Joking, I probably will have a couple buzzwords out there, unfortunately. Such is the nature. But I am specifically going to be talking about, number one, what is your brand strategy and how does it help you outmaneuver your competition? And the second topic is how your brand and understanding your brand and the strategy behind it can optimize all of your marketing touch points. So the marketing touch points that John and Sheldon talk about really will be successful if you know what your foundation is and you understand what your brand is. And then finally, how to budget and engage on a branding agency or a brand refresh. So just where do you start when you start thinking about engaging with a branding agency? Because like John said, there's no shortage of resources out there. Some are better than the others. So I'm going to give you some insights. So let's go in and let's just take a quick step back and talk about branding and the power of branding. And really, it could be shown with just one photo, the power of branding. And this is it. Same pair of shoes from the same manufacturer, the same number of holes for the shoelaces. And I guarantee the shoelaces are the same. Both have rubber soles, but one has a 10x multiple in price. And that is all because of that huge pink swoosh on there. Because of that Nike sign, because of that Nike logo. And that's how they're able to demand the price that they do. And in the end, that's really what the power of branding is. And this is something I'm going to continue to come back to today, is this idea of getting more people to buy more things at a higher price for a longer time. That's what we want everyone to do. That's what business is. We want customers for the long term, not just a one sale. We want lifetime. So let's break down some branding misconceptions. And if any of you were on my weekly newsletter, you would see that I talked about this yesterday. Because knowing that I was coming here today, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna recycle this content because this is so good. Number one, the biggest branding misconception out there is branding is not your logo. Wah, wah. Everyone thinks that branding is, oh, it's your logo. And so many times people come up to me, Stephen, I need branding help. I need a new logo. But oftentimes, as we dissect the brand and we really find out, everything that's behind it, the foundational aspects, the brand DNA, perhaps your logo is not the issue. It's your messaging, or it's how you are talking to your audience, or perhaps it's the fact that you don't even know who your audience is. So in the process of branding, more often than not, of course we're going to touch the logo. Of course we're going to look at your design, but it's going to come further down the process. It's not the first thing we tackle because there's so much that's going to influence that logo and your design. The second big misconception is your products do not define your brand. Apple is so much more than AirPods and an iPhone and an iMac or a MacBook Pro. It's the lifestyle. It's a way to think about. It's a call to action that Apple puts out there. Too many times I think brands are looking to define themselves by their products, but if you do branding right and you're constantly gathering insights from your audience is going to tell you the products to design and the products that they want to buy from you. So if you're only defining your brand based on your product, you might be missing out on a whole lot of revenue and a whole couple new SKUs to push out to your audience or service lines. Next is branding is not your price. Years ago, 12, 13 years ago, I was working with one of those $9.99 gyms in Southern California. And they were steadfast. They were adamant. We're the $9.99 gym. We only want to position ourselves as the $9.99 gym. And we had to have a couple hard conversations. Like, what happens when, I don't know, inflation hits, like it has, right? And what happens when minimum wage goes up or your footprint cost goes up, right? Your cost per square foot. What happens when all these environmental or financial factors come into play? And what happens if you do a really good job listening to your audience and your audience tells you that they really want higher end services, yet you've done all this work and spent all this money on positioning yourselves as the $9.99 gym? So we recommended to them, focus on affordability, focus on that, but don't make that to be everything. That is not your brand position. That is not your brand. Price is in flux. And it's a hard battle to win on pricing often when that's the only thing from a feature and benefit standpoint that you have out there. So it's always very cautious when brands put all their eggs into the position of their price. Next, branding is not advertising. This is a big one. Advertising has one sole purpose, to get you to buy something or to perform an action. And John and Sheldon are going to talk about that later on. But too many brands think, we have an ad campaign and that's our whole brand and that's everything that we stand for. But really, it should be very singular focused. Your advertising should almost be looked at like a silo. It's meant to do one specific action. It's meant to get someone to convert. But if you go in there with the mentality that advertising is your brand, you have it backwards. Now you're just pushing out messages that are just transactional or not building up a tribe. You're not building up your audience base. Next, how about this one? Branding is not your website. Even Amazon is more than just their website these days. Amazon stands for convenience, and Amazon was a lifesaver during COVID. Amazon is draining my bank account because my wife is home shopping. Amazon is all these things, so much more than a website. It's cloud computing. It's Hey Alexa. It's all these things now. Amazon has become a fabric of our society. So much more than a website. And I would even say if you were just an e-commerce seller on Shopify, that your brand is a lot more than that. Your brand is, again, we're going to get to that in a bit, but it's what your audience says it is. It's all about the customer. And finally, branding is not your tagline. This is a big one. And some in my circle, some other branders might even argue that taglines are irrelevant and antiquated these days because we live in an age of personalization. A tagline for you, miss, is different than a tagline for you because we all have different wants and needs as customers. And we have this opportunity of personalization to personalize messages. So I would argue and say perhaps brands are better served pushing out true lines or living lines. And when I say that, just think about the best headlines on your website that get people to understand what this section of content is. Like those are really powerful because if you can collect a library of those terms, then now we can really message on a one-to-one level as opposed to the one-to-many, which back in the Don Draper days of the 1950s, that was all you had. You had one opportunity, one message, and one ad in one magazine. So you had to make it as broad as possible, macro. But now we're going micro. Amazing. So what the hell is a brand then, Stephen? You told us everything it isn't. So what is it really? It is what your prospect thinks of when he or she hears your brand name. Intangible. I'm going to take it even further. My mentor, Marty Neumeier, brilliantly puts it, it is a person's gut feeling about a product, service, or organization. So I'm just going to let that one sit and take a quick sip. Marty has worked with the best of the best, and he's done an amazing job at distilling the complexities behind brand into seemingly simple statements. And I'm going to reference him a lot. Like I said, I'm a student of his, and he's a mentor of mine, and I very much subscribe to his school of thought when it comes to branding. So we need to all understand that brands are defined by the individual. That's all of you. We're all customers, we're all individuals, we're all consumers. Not a parent company, a hashtag, a market trend, a fad. Those do not define brands. If anything, you want to stay away from all those shiny, bright new objects and stick to your strategy, stick to what you know. Remember, everyone, and this is very important, a brand is not what you say it is as a business owner. A brand is what they say it is, them being your audience. All right, Stephen, so you showed us what a brand isn't, and then you showed us what a brand is, but what is this hot topic that I'm hearing everywhere about what's a brand strategy? Well, a brand strategy is this long-term plan to outmaneuver your competition through radical differentiation. And I'm bringing that word radical into this because we can't just be a little bit different. We need to be very different. We need to be disruptive different. Because at the end of the day, we want to get more people to buy more stuff for more years at a higher price. And this is how you have longevity. This is right here. If you know your audience and you know your brand, you can get them to do this. Apple does it. I mean, I bought how many Apple computers, how many Apple cell phones, everything Apple puts out there. I don't care how much it costs. I could buy a dongle for $75 and feel happy for myself because I'm within the Apple family. Because they've gotten me to buy more stuff from them at a higher price for the last 15 years because they've just focused on the customer and they focused on the experience of the customer. And this is what, no matter what size business you're in, a small business with barely any revenue to millions of dollars to billions of dollars, this is what our goal should be always, thinking about this. So you achieve this to this word differentiation. We need to be different. There's so much clutter out there with content. Sheldon's going to demystify it in a little bit, and so is John. But there's too much noise out there between dealing with the news and pandemics and wars and inflation and gas prices and whatever the hell else out there. We need to be different. There's too much choice out there. The bias, there's a choice bias where it's the Netflix effect, honestly, is what it's called. When you have too many choices, you sit there and you scroll for a half hour not getting anywhere because there's just too many choices. So how do you become the choice brand? You got to stick out. You got to be different. So differentiation is this process of establishing a unique market position to increase profit and avoid being commoditized. That's what we really want to do, right? We want to increase our profits while continuing to be different. And if we're not, we're going to get lumped into this term of clutter. Brand clutter, media clutter, product clutter, content clutter, social clutter, noise, noise, noise. And as human beings, our brains are meant to act as filters to protect us from all this information, right? Our brain is constantly trying, from a psychological perspective, to see what's the easiest thing here. There's so much noise. I need to simplify it. I need to be easy. We are predisposed, I can't even say that word right now, to hardwire to notice what's different, right? And when we see different, we're attracted to different. That's why I wear a hat. No one else is here wearing a hat. I'm wearing a hat. Just to be a little bit different, except for my man over there with the Phillies hat on. So in branding and design, in my world, we address differentiation through contrast. And contrast can be a really powerful thing in your business, right? Big versus small, huge contrast right there. Light versus dark, thick versus thin, fast versus slow, right? These contrasts is what we really want to hone in on as a business on your strategy. Where are these contrast points that we can get our audience to, hey, just give us a second take, to look at us, to notice us a little further? Because brand strategy, like I was saying, it comes down to differentiation. The more contrast between the brands, the easier it is to choose. If everyone is zigging and we're zagging, eyeballs are going to come on us because we're not following the crowd. We're doing our own thing. We're carving our own way. And your audience is going to reward you with that by buying more things from you at a higher price for a longer time, and you're going to win. Like I say, it's better to be number one in something than to be number three in a lot of things. You don't remember number three. Right? Who's the third most popular computer manufacturer? I don't know. Who's the third most popular cell phone manufacturer? Well, we know Apple's number one, probably Samsung's number two. Who do you think number three is? Huawei. What was that?
Huawei.
Who?
Huawei.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares? So how is marketing impacted by your brand? That sucks. First off, marketing today is really less about features and benefits, right? Everyone's shoving features and benefits down everyone's throat, left and right. They're on comparison charts on your website. They're in sales brochures. Your field reps are just shoving features and benefits. But today, it's really more about creating tribes, right? Creating this tribal identity that your brand can nurture. And when I use the term tribes, I'm talking about a group of people who not only share the same interests, but they talk to each other. And hey, in the age of the internet and social media, that's super powerful with Facebook groups and Telegram and WhatsApp and all these communication platforms, Discord, you name it, right? When you can get a group of people together talking about the same topic, that brand has created a tribe. And I use Apple all the time. I'm part of their tribe. You could hate Apple, but you're damn well aware of it. You know, you damn well know what they provide and the value out there. And I'm 100% in their tribe. I'm also in the Jeep tribe. I love Jeeps. I have 2 of them. And, you know, I do the Jeep wave when I go down, even though I don't have a Wrangler. My wife tells me, you can't do that. Only people who have Jeep Wranglers can do the wave. I'm like, no. I want to do the wave. So I do it, and sometimes I get a wave back, but most of the time I don't. Because customers don't buy brands anymore, everyone, they join them. See Harley Davidson over here. They may not be the best motorcycle out there. Some might say Ducati is the best motorcycle, or Honda, or whoever, Yamaha, whatever it is. But this tribe is ride or die. Literally. Who here is a Harley rider? Anyone here have a Harley? Well, if you did, what's the first rule of joining that tribe? You got to own a Harley. You got to buy into it, right? And Harley's very good at getting you to buy more things at a higher price for a longer period of time. That's why Harley riders, again, are ride or die. Literally. They have joined that tribe. They have joined that brand, and they love it. And that's what we all need to strive to do in our businesses, is create a tribe. And we don't need a tribe of 1 million. We don't need a tribe of, even 10,000. A tribe could be 100 people. You can have 100 solid customers that buy anything you put out there, and you can make a great living. And I see it. It's possible. Because what really matters today is that word matters. Mattering is the new marketing. If you can matter to your audience, you are going to win over your audience. They're going to think about you. They're going to follow you. Your website's going to be a destination. right? It's all about mattering to them. Because if you could steal just a little bit of that heart and mind share, ding, 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 you are winning. You're winning them over. Because what you don't want to be is this, right? So I'm going to ask you, and then we're going to have a little bit of a serious talk over here, but is this how your customers see you? Do they see you as the blurry brand? Do they see you as, oh yeah, case in point, I'm driving on the highway coming over here, and I passed like a little mini truck. And on the truck had a company called New Era. And I'm a baseball guy, and I was like, New Era, the hat company? Oh, that's kind of cool. So I drove up next to the guys. This has seriously happened. And I saw the logo, and it looked like the Singular logo from the cell phone company back in the day. I got here super early, and as I drove by, I actually like yelled to the driver, like the windows were up, right? But like I was like, come on, you guys could be better than that. Your name isn't different, and that logo is Singular's logo from 15 years ago. Funny enough, their office location is right behind here. And as I was driving in, I looked and I was like, shut the hell up. A whole fleet of New Era technology or whatever it is, trucks were there. I actually thought about like just popping in and like having them invite them here so they can see this, so I can tell them that, perhaps their customers see them like this. So if your customers are seeing you like this, you're kind of out of focus. So let's take the focus test. And this is something that we all can do right here. 3 simple questions I ask every one of my clients. If I'm consulting them, if I'm helping them find a branding agency, no matter how, any conversation, I'm asking these same 3 questions. The first question is, who are you? Simple enough, right? But what's the source of your passion and purpose? Why did you start the business? Why are you doing what you're doing? Simon Sinek has that great TED Talk from 20 years ago at this point called The Power of Why. I'm going to bring that up all the time. Like, why do you do what you do? And what do you do for that matter? Do you even know what you do? Branding is very much a game of categories, right? We need to know what category we're in. Because the category you think that your business is in may not be the category your audience thinks your business is in. And now you're just having 2 conflicting opinions. And the third question is, why does it matter? Why should anyone care that your business exists? And these are, seemingly simple questions, but they guarantee they're a lot harder to answer than you think. Because in brand building, again, mattering is more important than marketing. If you can matter, then the marketing you put out there will be successful. The marketing you put out there will be on budget. Because if you don't matter, you're going to be spending a lot of money on like this tactic and this tactic and this tactic, never truly understanding what makes your company or brand matter to its customers. Because unless you have compelling answers to all those questions, your brand strategy needs more focus. All right, so you got me. I think I need some branding help. Where do I start? Well, I think first we need to understand that there's really 2 big types of agency dynamics, and I'm sure John might get into more of this, but from the branding side, you got the generalist, one-stop shop. We do everything. Come on in. We open the doors. Whatever you need, I got what you need. So I hear that. You know what my next question is? Great. So what don't you do well, right? Because you cannot do everything really good. And in fact, do you even know how to do everything, or are you just selling me something that you think I need and then finding it on the back end off of Fiverr, Upwork, or your cousin down the street who happens to do social media and is in college? So you got the generalist one-stop shop, but then you got a little bit more of the specialist brand agency. So they're coming in, they're setting your strategy, they're helping you identify where to place those bets, where to place those marketing investments. And they may have the relationships to say, hey, let's bring in a company that just focuses on conference design, or that focuses just on content, or that focuses on web design. And they're very authentic and upfront about it by saying, listen, we don't do everything. You don't want someone that does everything. You want those specialist shops that can come in and do one or two things really, really well. Because that's how you move the needle. That's how you connect to your audience. There's a famous quote out there, right? If you think it's expensive to hire a professional, shit, imagine waiting until you hire an amateur or a generic jack of all trade agency. Because you'll probably have to hire that amateur over and over and over and over again. And guess what the amateur just did? They got you to pay a higher price for something over and over and over again. And you don't want that, right? You want to do it right the first time. I often would, years ago, I have my Stevenisms, right? I just have like these, these phrases I like to push out there. John probably knows half of them. But you only have one opportunity to make a first and lasting impression, right, with your audience. And so if you're going out of the gate, hire that professional, hire those individuals that are truly specialized so you can make that first impression very much a lasting one. Okay, so we have gotten to the end of my little rant over here. I have some parting words, and there's really two of them that I would, if you take nothing else from me away from today, I hope you take this away. Number one, your brand strategy is this long-term plan to outmaneuver your competition through radical differentiation. And I want you to remember that radical part, right? It's gotta be different. It has to be. Because if it is, then you get more people to buy more stuff for more years at a higher price. And who doesn't want that? Because if you can achieve that, everyone, guess what? Bravo, you're winners. And that concludes my All About Branding presentation. Again, my email is up there. I got business cards. I'm going to be hanging around. My LinkedIn, my Twitter. If you want to join my newsletter, feel free to do so. I hope that QR code works. QR codes are back, right? In case you did not know, they were here, they left, they came back. They made the resurgence. So good on the QR code inventor. So thanks, everyone. Next up.